In the heart of Red Rock Country, 5 miles west of Sedona and 2 hours north of Phoenix, Arizona, thousands of years of water and wind have carved a mysterious and magnificent canyon. Yavapai, Hopi, Navajo remember their ancestors' stories of the sacred Red Canyon. The Apache called it Chich-Chi. What ancient stories linger in the long-abandoned ruins? What geological drama created a place so awe-inspiring and mystical? What charisma abides within the red walls that continues to enchant modern visitors who know it as Boynton Canyon?
I think what's interesting about Boynton Canyon is that there's two theories. There's the scientific theory of hundreds of millions of years ago, this canyon was underneath water. That comes from a mathematical, a scientific perspective that as Native Americans, we can't, even for myself, I can't get my mind around that. But when I listen to the elders talk about it, it was a long time ago. And they have stories, they have creation myths, they have the great flood myths and stories that go with that. And they make reference to time as a long time ago.
The geologists tell us that a shallow tropical sea first laid down the red wall limestone foundation. Then the Supai group of reddish layers formed when the area was a coastal plain between two seas that rose and fell.
We can say with very accurate description of the great flood that occurred in the Apache world. And this is where changing woman came into the new world. And she landed right here on dry ground after the water receded.
The question has always come up as to, well, how many times has this been underwater? Well, the answer is many, many times. It's too many to even count almost.
It's like the old people said, it's that's where the Yavapais come from.
Rising above the red earth are buttes and spires carved from the Schnebly Hill Formation, remnants of a shifting coastline 320 to 285 million years ago.
These rocks were formed and laid down in very level fashion. And if my finger represents sea level, as the land subsided, it played tag with sea level for nearly 300 million years until the end of the Paleozoic era, like we see at the top of the Grand Canyon in the Kaibab limestone 250 million years ago. 90 million years ago, there was a new seaway that covered this area. The rocks that we see here in Boynton Canyon and along the Mogollon Rim were probably a mile below that sea level. The seaway went all the way up to the Arctic Ocean and connected it to the Gulf of Mexico. Dinosaurs that were evolving in Western North America and Canada were different from the dinosaurs in the eastern part of the U.S. Beginning about 75 million years ago, this whole region was uplifted. That was eroded until about 15 million years ago. Then we had volcanic rocks being laid down in the Jerome area that are between 10 and 15 million years old. 10 million years ago, the crust was pulled apart, just like you see all through Nevada and southwestern Arizona. That created a stretching of the Earth's crust and floundering on both sides of faults, dropping the core of the Verde Valley down. So the Verde Valley is a rift valley. Only after this pull-apart valley that we begin to see the modern erosion cutting into the Mogollon Rim here, with the cliffs retreating back on the soft hermit formation, which forms the level upon which most of the town of Sedona would be built. So we see canyons being cut back into the Mogollon Rim that have taken place only in the last 10 million years.
You can see the table line, you can see the water lines, you can see it, and that's what we look at as Native Americans, is when you look to the side of that mountain and you can see the different levels, those horizontal lines as the water receded. That's a reference of time for us.
Toward the end of the last ice age, over 8,000 years ago, Paleo-Indian hunters roamed through Red Rock country in search of game. They hafted long stone projectiles known as Clovis points to thrusting spears or darts, and used them to bring down large mammals. But as the climate grew warmer and drier, saber-toothed tigers, mammoths, and other large game became extinct. They sought smaller game such as deer and added wild plants to their diet. A dramatic shift came when people began to plant and tend crops, requiring year-round dwellings rather than temporary camps. Anthropologists refer to these early Southwest farmers, especially within the Sedona area, as Sinagwa.